My name is Ozie Ejiofor. I will give you a story. It's no longer news that sometimes a man tells his friends about a woman because he has either had something to do with the woman or other times he hasn't but wants to provoke a thought. Maybe to the woman's chaika, or to the woman's husband, or to the woman's friends or associates. Let me give you a story. I was so little when there was a serious pandemonium in my mom's shop in Katako Garage in Jos, where a guy said to a few others that he had something to do with a particular woman, and in the course of the argument, if he had done so or not, he practically explained in real terms what the woman's body looked like. I think the woman had maybe a birthmark somewhere on her leg, the left thigh, really close to her private area. And the man was as thorough as analyzing what the woman looked like in the course of that conversation. And this created a serious trouble between the woman, because eventually her husband heard it, and her husband. Those who were the woman's friends could not argue it, since the man had already explained what the woman looked like. And knowing that some who are chicks also knew that apparently the woman had that mark on her left thigh, could not argue any further. Because how will they say that they are arguing for the woman? How did the man know that she had that mark on that left thigh? I was so tender, but I'm sure they didn't know I was wise and can actually recall this conversation. They argued it to the point that, in fact, that marriage almost broke, if it didn't break. But I don't know the other part, if the marriage broke. But it was so thorough that, seriously, it was brought to my mom's shop, because my mom's shop was really big and it was a place for relaxation in the evenings for those who are storytellers and lovers. But Kenya, those who likes to hear gist, and that's it, sort of. So when they come to drink and eat, they just relax and have serious conversations. So if you want to hear the happenings in town, if you come around there, you will definitely follow. So the argument was, how did this man know that she has this birthmark on her thigh? I thought to share this conversation because some guys are fond of having something with a woman and telling their friends that they have. I don't know the reason for sharing such ideas. Is it for the other party to clap for you? Or is it for the other person to know that the girl is your girlfriend or your lady friend, or what kind of friend? I don't know the reason why some guys just share that conversation after having something with a girl or a lady or a married woman or anything female. Amaromu mo kakubalugaka for sharing. Do you need an accolade for sharing? Because I think it is the craziest thing that a man would do to himself, because they do not know that they are doing it to themselves, to himself, and then to the woman that he had had something with. The worlds have ears. You may not understand what you're doing until the woman eventually hears what you've said after having any form of intercourse or togetherness or just conversation with her, and she hears it from somewhere else. You may not have known what you've done. Men, believe me, as much as you speak to a woman and she falls for you, does not mean that she falls for everyone in the same vein. It's equally important that you understand that because you asked a woman out and succeeded in laying with her, does not mean that every other person who asks her out is successful in getting her and laying with her. It's important that I share these ideas with the guys, so that when a girl is in love with you or likes you or eventually want to have something with you, it should be an honor. It's not a right. It should be a privilege. It should be an honor. You should cherish it. If you think it's that easy, then ikaje no munag and continue to get the girls from there. Again, women, it's also important to know animals. Enwelu mwokebo natural disaster, erosion, pandemonium, pandemic, epidemic, everything in one, tsunami. There are guys that you need to associate yourselves with. If you check a man and you realize this man does not have anything to lose, like he is shameless, I bet you there is no need hanging around such a person. Absolutely no need. If you see a man who talks too much, there is also no need of hanging around that kind of man. Ofeke. No need hanging around him. You must look out for men who are real men. You must look out for men who are responsible. You must look out for men who have something to lose. You must look out for men who honor women. Yes. Oborono kata iwele akanogoli, melo yinwoke, or have something to do with akanogoli. I'm sure there are some people that you've had something in the past with, that when you remember today that you've had something to do with this kind of guy in the past, you feel like slaughtering yourself. Don't kill yourself. Forgive yourself. But level don't change. You may or will never have anything to do with such kind of guy. It's the truth. So, that woman who was swearing to God that she did not have any sexual intercourse with that guy who was saying he had, was now in a serious dilemma, trying to convince her friends that she didn't have anything with that guy, trying to convince her husband that she didn't have anything with that guy, and trying to inquire why that guy said what he said. It took a while. It took a serious while before the truth unveiled. The real truth in the matter was that as much as the guy was making passes at her, she didn't want any sexual intercourse with the guy. But at some point, they played around. And there are some decisions that you take you do not want to break. You may have togetherness with a guy in a room. You can kiss him, you can caress him, you can romance him, you can do all sorts of things with him, but you will insist that there will be no penetration. The question is, must there be a penetration for sex to come to pass? For sex to be accomplished? Must there be penetration for sex to be accomplished? And the answer is yes. There must be a penetration before sex is accomplished. But whoever that is irresponsible, that wants to mar you, that is able to touch all the touchables in your body, breast, bum, pussy, everywhere in your body, may tell anybody who cares to listen that he has had something to do with you, and you cannot argue it. That was where the woman entered, and she entered big time. So the guy saw her body almost everywhere and was able to say in real terms what the body looked like, and was able to spot out the body and where there were marks, and was able to say to people that I once had something with her, even though in his real truth he knows that there was never a penetration between himself and the woman, but because she loose-guarded in having a one-on-one with him in one room, a romance with him in the same room, a conversation with him in the same... No, some guys are idiots. Forget it. You never can tell that this was a bet between himself and some other guys whom he had told that he was going to have a dealings with the woman, and they betted in monetary terms that he was never going to be able. And he eventually tried, succeeded, and made them know that he did, but did not tell them the entire truth. He told them half-truth, that he did, and that this was what she looked like, until she now really confessed that indeed they were together, but that this didn't happen the way he was saying it happened. Onye ka agaju. It was recently that cameras began to reign in various homes. Who would we ask? No evidence, no case. But because he was able to spot out a given area in her body, he was able to tell people that he had one-on-one with her, he had laid her, and she couldn't come out of it very quickly. When she said what she said, her friends who were never going to say she was lying then knew that the truth is they had one-on-one, but there was no penetration in that regard. What is the moral to this lesson or this story? If you do not trust that anybody who is a guy, why do you need to have one-on-one with him in a secluded place? If a man is not worthy of having you, and he is not worthy of standing you, and he is not worthy of being your caliber, for goodness sakes, why do you need to be in a secluded place with the same person? Or you hope not call you would just then believe him. Women must understand that this person is worthy, so that okuputechi, you will beat your chest and said yes, and so what? Yeah, and so what? It happened, what happens? And so what? Then, the lesson to this is to married women. A lot of married women are doing a lot of things these days. They have sugar boys, they have young guys, they have older boys, they have sugar daddies, and they flirt so much whilst in marriage. If you do not want to have any sexual relationship with a guy, why do you need to accept an appointment in a secluded place? You do not even know if you're being set up. You do not know if this is genuine. You do not know if this is to test your ability by your husband. Edake, I swear to God. Then men, who thinks the world revolves around their heads? Who bet money? Who engage in verbal conversations with their fellow guys to test, to try, to know if a woman is cheap or not, if a woman will fall or not? For goodness sakes, you are wasting your time. You may not even know that the woman whom you are betting for has the same feelings for you. And whilst you're opening your mouth to say a thing, Nyangwe Bulu's or Nyege appointment where you're going to come and she would have her way. And then you're thinking you're cheating her without knowing that she quite has cheated you. Right? Women, married women, be careful the way you go to various hotels in having your affairs. Be careful the kind of sugar boys that you keep around. Be careful the kind of conversation that you engage yourself in. There is absolutely no need of engaging in a conversation where you would need to swear to your fellow girl that you would never have anything to do with a guy. Can you please keep it to yourself? Because that's what's bringing and breeding this kind of nonsense, where you would need to swear to your fellow girl or a fellow guy that, you see that guy, I can't have anything to do with him, even though he's the last of men. And then the guy will then hear it. You would not know that they are friends. They would later go and discuss you. The guy will then swear that he will have something to do with you, and the day that he would have, he would record it, or he would video it, or he would tell them that he has a jili receipt yolo. Eda kuro. Hinguwazi, I swear to God. Their name. Keep your mouth shut. Some men rape some women because they've heard that the woman said she will never have anything to do with their caliber. Shabash in Jos raped a police officer's DPO's daughter because she swore while in Laurento that she was never going to have anything to do with Shabash. And he swore and raped the girl, and Jenga Dianenu, no problem. So it's really ridiculous that a woman would have to open her mouth to tell her fellas, guys, girls, that she will never have anything to do with a given guy because he's not up to her standard or equal to her standard. You don't need to say all that. Please, let's be guarded with what we say with our mouths. That's another thing. Like I said, a woman who is married Kedifi na achọ na hotel. What is it? What are you looking for? When your friends are not having a party, you didn't tell your husband you're going there. If they get you there, even if you went to transact a business, for real. So that's how weird it is. Then, guys who just frolic around women just to get stories about them and then tell it to some other persons. How market?
Mommy, I wash clothes.
Then some women equally kiss and tell. When you have something to do with a guy, you go. Oh, that's okay. Say hi.
Hi.
Good. Some women kiss and tell. You have something to do with a guy, then you go and tell your fellow women, then your friends begin to, from your behind, call the guy and start looking for the guy. That's an insult, you know. It's really an insult, especially for guys who have names to protect. Some women kiss and tell as well. It's not just the guys who do those things. Why do you need to have something with a guy and then you go and tell your fellow chiquitos, nah, that guy bolana bado, nah, ifya, and then the girl begins to, hypnotize, visualize, think of how to go and lure your own boyfriend to sleep in with her. And then when you finally know, hey, why you want to call my boyfriend? Excuse me? You shared the thought that his bola was very big and somebody is trying to have a taste and a feel of it. Since you're not able to keep your mouth shut, let someone else feel it. And probably collect the guy from you. Ebi fein imaraife.
Yes.
Men,
Correct.
treat your women well. That's the bottom line. Men, treat your women well. Because there is absolutely any reason why a married woman will not enjoy matrimony in her home with you. You're either busy here or you're busy there. You're so busy that you forget the reason for intertwining in marriage. Nijena dume so nia number one. You see, when you go to churches, multitude of the congregation are almost women. A lot of them are there because their husbands are not stable financially. A lot of them are there because they've got no children. A lot of them are there because their husbands are not jena dume. A lot of them are there because dume ha mwe wenta di ha ada akwoto mo for ha kuni anybody ke obodi sinana onna he megeri aro. But when he goes to his chiquito on e megeri aro. Why? Because he's turned off from his woman, apparently because she's entirely disrespectful. She's entirely disrespectful. And nothing turns a man's sexual feelings down like having a woman in the same house, under the same roof, who is entirely disrespectful to him. Oh, nye de happy ka ngede guye na akwoto. A man who is happy, that's the man whose penis rises. If not, nothing happens around that man, no matter how sexy you think you are. No matter how sexy you think you are, you must respect your man. When he says, don't do this, can you please not do that? Can you please make him feel like he's the man? You're not the man. You didn't marry yourself. He came to your people to marry you. He paid the dowry. He did everything right. And he's not owing your people. Can you please make him feel wanted? Praise him. Can you tell him you're my man? Can you tell him how romantic he is? How loving, how lovely he is? Ufodundudi do not even want their wives to go hungry. They provide everything in the house, but the women are entirely disrespectful. Rather, they prefer to take their man's monies and go and squander it with young guys. Because that's entirely how to analyze some feelings. You put the person in your shoes or in the person's shoes. That way, you will understand that if they do this to me or if they did this to me, I'll never be happy with it. That way, you will not do it to someone else. So, guys, women, if you do not have feelings for someone, do not get yourself intertwined in the same secluded place with the person. Otherwise, a kawaba. Number 2, guys, if you go as much as having anything with a woman, can you please shut up? Can you please know where to draw the line in conversations with men and in conversations with female friends? Then, ladies, if you do not want to ever have anything to do with a man, no matter how he is, having or not having, can you please also shut up? When you go and get down with a man, can you also please shut up and not share his private secrecy with your fellow girls? It's important. Then men who analyze women, who go betting to go and chike and to have any sexual intercourse with a woman and then comes out to gist about it, can you please shut up? Can you please keep the bond and shut up? Can you please stop bragging about having gotten down with a particular woman, especially when she is high and classy? And then you have the audacity to tell someone else, excuse me. Excuse me. Or kakwalugaka. Will you get a plaque? There are things that we ought to stop doing. It's important. There are things that we ought to stop doing. So, you see, a woman who didn't have sexual intercourse with a man, and the man went to tell his friends that he did have. Later, before we knew that he didn't, we later realized that they only went to touchlight from body, head to toe, and maybe vital areas, but there was no penetration. Who we go ask? Otonagogo. So please, guys, enough of those discrepancies. It has to stop. I hope I made a little sense this morning. Afternoon. I need to do 2 videos. One is past. I'm done with one now. I'll need to cut this video and then redo another one because we need to share some ideas. This time around, I want it conversational.
Ice cream.
Ice cream on.
Ice cream.
My name is Ozioma. I'll be right back.
200.